And we are live and kind of working. I'm still having the same technical issues, kind of, but maybe less of them. Let's hope. I am here today with Brick Something. We are going to talk about the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Kickstarter, which is going strong. And we have a very, very special guest joining us today. So let's just go ahead and bring him on right away. Jason's hanging out backstage, listening to some banging tunes. What's going on, Jason?
How we doing, gentlemen?
Headbang in the silence. I love it.
We're just rocking this Kickstarter right out, aren't we? Woo! A little less
now,
than 5K from getting our hands on Grimes, getting our hands grimy.
That's what I was going to say is we are so close to getting Grimes. Grimes unlocks at 160,000 and we are currently sitting at 155,416. So we're so close to Grimes, and we're getting booned, so we need Grimes. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it?
Deal, man. I am so proud of the tribe. We've a typical Kickstarter is 30 days, and I think what are we at? We got 31 days left to unlock all this excellent goodness. The tribe is strong. I know we're gonna kind of go through some of these upcoming stretch goals that might not necessarily been seen by everyone yet. So we're gonna start kind of going over those. Full disclosure, I do have my eyes closed right now. I had my corrective surgery on Thursday and went fantastic. They did tell me that the fourth day, which is today, my eyes would be a little bit sore and kind of sensitive to light. So I am listening, but my eyes are closed behind the cool glasses.
And Brick and I did not get surgery on our eyes, but we are wearing sunglasses in solidarity with Jason. Just because the future of Animal Warriors of the Kingdom is bright. So we needed our sunglasses today. I'm probably not going to keep mine on for the whole show because with the fade like tint in these glasses, my screens all look real weird and kind of funny. But anyways, so there's the Kickstarter right there, 155. We're so close, and as I said, just scrolling down here, we do get this big old thick boy at 160. So we're creeping ever so much closer towards Grimes, but pretty good stuff. All right, I'm very quickly gonna just rip through the Kickstarter from the top, and I don't want to go. Oh, there we go. That'll work. We'll go through the Kickstarter really quick, then we'll check in with the comments. Then I'll probably take my sunglasses off. And we'll get into some questions. All right, so you got a cool video there. So if you're not really familiar, I would be shocked because you're watching Monkey Business, where we talk about Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. But if you're not familiar with sort of what we're doing in the Kickstarter, you can go ahead and watch that video. We're not going to do that today, but there are 4 brand new bucks, at least 4 brand new bucks in the Kickstarter, and the 4 bucks have now been unlocked. So we've got the reptile buck, which contains Corvius, it contains Gresh, and because we have now unlocked him, it also contains the heavy infantry troop builder. All 3 of these are going to come with extra heads. We've moved away from head packs. That was sort of kind of an adaptation and sort of a mutation that we've made through the course of the Kickstarter, that the extra heads will actually be packed in with the figures so long as we unlock those goals. And then weapon sets as well are available that are sort of buck specific. So there's, a weapon set that corresponds with the reptiles, a weapon set that corresponds with the big boys here, the Brawler Buck. So the Brawler Buck gives us King Hannibal. It gives us Kali Prime. We get those Bone Crusher weapon sets. And then if we get to 160, we get Grimes, who is an awesome looking figure. And as I said, we get Boone and the Speedster Buck already. So if you want your Chewie to your Han, Grimes is that to Boone. So, and then at 170, we get the heads unlocked for the brawlers. Then in the second wave of the second series, we get the female buck, which consists of Mother Mala, the patriarch of the Chunari tribe. We get Lady Jadu, the wife of Kali, should be noted, and pretty important in the Horde. We also get a weapon set that corresponds with that. We get a army builder, Jessa, if we can hit 190, which I think is like it's
in the bag.
Locked. I mean, that's in the bag, yeah. And then the alternate heads at 200, and then we get the speedster buck, consisting of Kanji, the rabbit, who has full articulation in his ears because they're on a ball joint, as well as Boone. Boone looks awesome. One thing that's not really called out here, it'll be in an update later, but he does have a Pirate Guild logo on the back of his jacket there, which I think is a pretty cool detail addition. And then we get some assassins weapons that go with those speedsters. And at 220, we will unlock the Horde Assassin, who will come with an alternate head because he is an army builder. At 230, we will get unlock heads for the other two. Then Spectral Pale, and I will clear this up right now. Spectral Pale is not a stretch goal. Spectral Pale is an add-on that you can add on to any reward tier that you back in Kickstarter. He is available now. He is available to add to your backing. So make sure you go get at least one, and I mean 5 if you want, but you can't have more than 5. Nobody gets more than 5, not even me.
Adam, is he included with any of the particular rewards?
So Spectral Pale is included in both the all-in and the epic all-in. So if you go all in on this, you are getting Spectral Pale. No need to unlock him. He's already there.
Exactly.
Then beyond those bucks, we start getting into the stretch goals, and we'll get back to these when we sort of get to some questions about stretch goals. Jason, go ahead.
Let me say that. So whenever we did the Spectral Pale, I've got several different colors of resin. So everything we're looking at are painted 3D resin sculpts right now. I did run out of the colors for his weapons. I got them in, even though I probably shouldn't have. I printed them yesterday. They're all printed and everything. We're just waiting to photograph those weapons, and we'll add those in. And I also want to mention that we'll be adding text to let everyone know that all the figures include a total of 3 pairs of hands. So on the first Kickstarter, it was something that was a little bit of a stretch goal. It's just going to be a standard thing. Don't worry. They're not included in the graphics. I thought it was going to get a little crowded to be adding all these hands. In hindsight, I probably should have had the text saying includes 2 extra sets of hands, but I just wanted to mention that before we kind of roll into the more exciting things that we're about to talk about today.
Yeah, I've kind of mentioned to people, like, just sort of having worked with you now, Jason, for a while, and sort of getting your sort of method and sort of understanding your process. I keep telling people, you get everything that's in these pictures and probably more, because Jason will be like, oh, and I want to add this, and I want to throw this in, and I'm going to tweak this and things like that. So I think in the original Kickstarter, the extra hands weren't shown either. They were just sort of packed in, and people were kind of just surprised to get them in the end.
Yeah, even Dave's helmet, even his head, that extra head, we didn't even talk about it. It was just like, oh, by the way, you're gonna get this awesome helmet. And I'll say that, I have 3 Thanes, and 2 of the 3 have the helmeted head. So it's just those little extra pack-ins that we want to do and just thank the tribe, and just kind of think of me as your happy-go-lucky mad scientist who wants to kind of pack as much quality and excitement and fun into the products as we can without me getting fussed at by the financial guru who is my business partner.
And then think of me as the person that's like, are you sure that's a good idea?
But anyway. Angel on my shoulder.
Anyways, let's jump into the chat here and say hello. Thanos is here. Is it not even going to show the comments now? Dang it. So I'm still having technical difficulties. I don't know why. I wish I knew how to fix this, but
I don't have access.
Maybe Brick can see them.
I can't. He has to bless me on his end, but I have yet to be blessed.
can I do that right away? Is that
Let me
possible?
check
I don't
that.
think it is. Anyways,
Let me see.
all
Yeah,
right.
it's something-
I can
There
see
we
the
go.
comments on my end.
Got it now.
Here we
He's
go.
got it.
See that? I
All
opened
right,
up my
so-
eyes for a second, and I helped y'all out.
Thanos
I'm
is
closing them
here.
again.
Speaking Moistly is here. Ray Paz is hanging out. Red 5 is also here. Brick's doing double duty in the chat as well as on
Speaking Moistly.
screen there. Michael Kagayat is also here. Forgive me if I pronounce that wrong. It's probably always how I pronounce it. It could very well always be wrong. And he says, we ready to unlock Grimes on the stream? I would love that, man. That would be amazing.
Oh my god!
I was hoping it would unlock this morning.
So
but
great.
Sam Rock is here. New York City figure fanatic. Endless Fables.
All right, dude.
Ray Pass says the future's bright. You had to wear shades. Kato
That's right.
is here. It's Kato. Go check out Kato's collections reviews for more Animal Wars of the Kingdom content. Lots of fun stuff over there. Amanda is very excited about Jessa. That is one of the figures she wants the
Me
most.
too.
So
I love those
Kato
little
says we all
pistols that
wearing
she
Ray
comes
Charles
with.
glasses in honor of Jason's new eyeballs. Yes, he got them on the black market. He got a great price. So backer
Minority
number 10
Report,
says
baby.
Kato. My response to that is,
Thanks,
what
dude.
took you so long, buddy?
Hey, it launched early in the morning.
It launched even
Too
earlier
early for the
me.
West Coasters. Thank you very
It
much.
did, right? Yeah, it did. Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Game Quest is here as well. I hope that surgery went well. I think it did.
went
I mean, he's
great.
here. He's not.
And- Yeah. I'm personal friends with my doctor. He called me this morning just to kind of check up on me. My eyes are actually healing really fast. It wasn't supposed to be at this stage until tomorrow, which is, great. I want to get it back to normal as soon as possible. But I talked to him this morning. Everything's fine. We just expected to have a little bit of sensitivity to light today, maybe going in a little bit tomorrow. I've got protective contacts on right now, which is it's almost like the contact is like a sutures to just kind of help everything along. I'll get that out tomorrow. It'll probably reduce the tenderness quite a bit because my eyes, like there's a foreign object in my eye and it's like, what is this? Let's get this out of here. So once that's out, the blurriness should kind of go away back to how it was on Friday, which was like essentially 2020, and we'll be off to the races, so to speak.
Nice.
That's got to be wild. What were your eyes like before?
It's amazing. Well,
Okay.
I had like a serious stigmatism. So just to give you an idea, like y'all have seen my glasses, they're like flesh colored and they're also kind of the color of most carpets. So like, I can't tell you how many times I've like gone to reach to get my glasses in the morning and they'll fall on the ground. And I just would not be able to find them, like looking all over, like hoping I'm not going to step on them, So just being able to wake up and see is like, it's one of those things that I don't think I'm going to take for granted for quite a while. It's great.
Nice.
New York City figure fanatic says, no, Jason without the glasses, they're like his signature thing.
I'll get some fake glasses.
Just get
and
some
I'll
like
probably rock
readers or
them out every
something.
once
Just
in a while. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, what's nice is I don't need readers. I was just looking at the phone and could read,
Nice.
But I'll probably get some fake ones just to kind of, maybe for public appearances.
Yeah. Keep the look going.
Right?
Kato
Yeah.
said, will Spectral Pale only be available in the Kickstarter? Will it be available afterwards like Vero? Sort of, but not like Vero.
It's
So
not going to be like Vero. It won't be like Vero.
So he will be available
So-
during the Kickstarter. He will be available during the backer kit. And then he will be available, at cons or for special things or maybe giveaways but he will not
That's
be
it.
available from any retailers.
Correct. Now, if someone buys it and wants to sell it on eBay, there's nothing we can do about that. But as far as like official retailers and stuff, it's the Kickstarter, it's the backer kit, and then it's that extra incentive to come and tell us hi at conventions and get your Spectral Pale.
Cool.
Absolutely. All right. That's the Kickstarter. Should we get straight into questions?
Yeah, let's do
we've
it.
got a few. We've got a few sort of prepared and pulled up. We will go through those ones. Once we've gone through those, I'm sort of starring questions that you guys are placing in the comments there, and I'll pull those up if they don't get answered with our questions. That being said, I think probably we will cover a lot of them. So
yeah, there's already questions that are coming up in the chat
that are like repeats of ones that we've got. Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm going to do?
Though, yeah.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
let me show this quickly so that I can clear it. Let's see if I can share this quickly so that I can clear it off.
That, let me share sort of the objective today. You know, we
Yeah.
have the opportunity to have Jason here today. We do this thing called AWOK Talking Monkey Business for a reason, because we love this, we love the toys, we love the comics. And so we're hoping that this could be a really helpful resource. We've been watching the different streams that have been going on. There's been a lot of information out there. So we're trying to like gather and consolidate all of those questions here. So definitely keep those questions coming. We're going to go through the ones that people sent in and that we've sort of consolidated, and hopefully that addresses a lot of the ongoing questions. And then if there are others, we'll address them later. So definitely please tell folks to use this as a resource too, as we move forward, because you'll probably hear a lot of
we'll
these
share.
questions.
We're going to go ahead and we'll upload this as an update.
Dope.
Because it's very informative and it's fun. And people get to see me wipe my nose every 30 seconds.
Yeah. Solidarity there too.
That's what the people are coming for, right? Isn't that what people are here for?
See, he's human after all.
Well, I'm trying to share it, but it won't. So we will just, I'll just let everybody know that if you guys are familiar with Brian Brink and Brian Brink's charts,
I can share it. That should work on my end, right? Yes. It will.
Yes.
Yes.
Excuse me.
Trust.
Yes. Yeah. If you share it with me, I think I can then share it. I think because it's whatever for whatever reason my screen share just does not like to work. There it is, because Brick shared it with me. All right, perfect. And I'm going to close it on my end. Maybe that helps. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like something internally to my computer for some reason. But anyway, there it is. Brian Brink's charts.
That looks great.
Yeah, I mean the numbers are good, right? They're moving in the right direction. We've got sort of all the stretch goals mapped out there on the side as well, which shows that we funded about a week ago, and we're just trucking right along. So good to see that. Now, for anybody that's familiar with Brian Brink's charts, you know that typically these are seen on the geekdadlife.com website. And this chart will be available. I have been assured by Jake Latfelter himself that this will be available on the Geek Dad Life website as well. So check that out whenever you like. We will also include this in an update so that it is available sort of through the Kickstarter page as well. But yeah, there you go. That's sort of, you may or may not have seen them for HasLabs or for, different crowdfunded projects. But Brian Brink is an awesome dude and sort of reached out and agreed to do one for us. So it's like we've awesome, kind of officially made it because we've got this chart too, I think. But
I agree.
Yeah. For those of you that aren't chart inclined, this was updated. This gets regularly updated. So once it's on GDL, you'll be able to see it. This was updated, 2 hours ago or so at 12 p.m. our time, West Coast, 3 p.m. Eastern. This right here is the original 99,000 funding goal. So that Zoom passed real early. These are your days here. This is our deadline. So we're real early. And this thing, if it continues this general trend, if I plot a trend line, we're heading up in this direction. Hopefully, we're going to get past this. And I think that's a lot of the questions that we're going to talk about today. And I think some things that were revealed, like what happens if we zoom way past to the original 260,000 top tier to get raving? And I think we'll talk about that today.
Absolutely.
Amazing. Look at that. I'm just curious, Jason, have you, having gone through this before, how does this compare with the trajectory of that first one? Because that first one was fast too. Or the first one for these figures.
it's almost apples and oranges, because the scope of this Kickstarter is twice as big as what we did last time.
Right.
We met goal this time in half the time, which is great. And we're in what I like to think of like the marathon part of the Kickstarter, where we're slowly unlocking Kickstarter goals. I'm sorry, stretch goals. So everything just seems to be on pace. Last Kickstarter we did, I think that there was a total of 1,200 backers. This time I'm anticipating between 1,500 and 1,600. And if you just kind of double the numbers, you can see that we're pretty much we're on track to unlock everything that we're going to talk about. So, just spreading the word and letting everyone know about it. One of the things that, collectors and just, people in general, that we all take for granted, like Nike and Coca-Cola and all the big car brands, they're all just these household names. Like everyone knows Ninja Turtles and Thundercats and all that. Our goal right now, or our task, is to kind of get a little bit, just a percentage of that critical mass that these big brands have, that, they've got like 20, 30, 40 years on us.
Yep.
We know that we've got an awesome product. The toys are fantastic. They're engaging characters. We've got a great comic book. And so our task now is to really raise the awareness about the Kickstarter and the brand itself. And what we've got going for us is that the products are great and they're fun and exciting. So it's just a matter of kind of getting it out in front of people. And we know that the excitement is going to kind of carry us over and help us unlock all these stretch goals with the time that we have left. And the good thing about it is we've got essentially a normal Kickstarter length to unlock all this stuff. So we're in a good place. I'm really excited about it. I cannot wait to see people at Toylanta this coming weekend. It'll be like, oh, hey, by the way, everything right here is unlocked. We've got more stuff that's you should check out the Kickstarter to see what else you can get. So we're in a good spot.
Nice.
And Brian Brink, who's watching on mute at a 2-year-old's birthday party.
What's up,
thank
Brian?
you, Brian, for the chart. This thing's awesome. Yeah,
it's great. It's very. We love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 505 backers. Like, that's this early. That seems very good.
I know it's very humbling, and it makes me feel just absolutely fantastic. One of the things that I've mentioned a couple of times is we all love nostalgia. We love, that warm, fuzzy feeling about getting and collecting all the stuff that we grew up with. But it's essential. It's essential that we keep introducing new music, new toys, new movies, so that the culture doesn't stagnate. I know it sounds kind of silly, but it's actually very important. I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but I was a psychology major, and then I kind of ventured into sociology, and then my artistic endeavors kind of pulled me in a different direction. But it's something that I'm very aware of, and to see that a brand new IP like this is making the kind of strides that we are is very encouraging. And I feel like the Four Horsemen kind of led the way and kind of showed us that, a smaller company can like really become this big giant behemoth of an amazing toy company. They do work for all kind of other big toy companies. And, and then Super 7 kind of came along, and they just really like showed their potential with licensing all the nostalgic stuff that we love. But again, I go back to the Four Horsemen with, they're bringing their own IPs that are really cool and exciting. And that's kind of the model that we're trying to go with, where it's a little bit harder because, you're starting off with something that's relatively unknown, but we feel that if we bring, quality, exciting products to the public, that it'll pay off. And it feels like it has so far. We're just getting started. We've only had the toys in stock for a little over a year, and we've made, I don't know how many top 10 lists for, best toys of the year, which was kind of shocking, but exciting and like a little surreal at the same time. So, we're doing great things. And I just want to thank everyone for having faith in us and jumping on board. And going on this amazing ride with us. We're just our trajectory is going like this. So thank you so much.
No, absolutely. And it's so cool to hear you say that, because I think that's a lot of the way I've been wrapping my head around toys in general, but in particular why, Adam and I spend so much time talking about AWOK. There's just so much here that we want people to understand, and the value of new things, right? You said that in one of the chats, and I put in there a lyric by a band, Refused, right? Like we keep using we keep using the same old.
Dude, I love that band.
Right? How can we expect anyone to listen if we keep using the same old voice? We need new noise.
Right.
And there's something about that. Like you said it, the culture becomes stagnant. And so I love it. Right. I'm excited. Let's talk about the new. Let's talk about this Kickstarter.
Should we get into the questions?
Yup.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's bring up wait, where did I put these now? Okay, let's bring it up. This one. So doable. That's not what it is. AA Comics. I try to read them
comics
multiple times before, so I wouldn't screw it up.
It's
a AA Comics and Tony Cartoonish.
Just way too hard to read, so I need those doable comics. But yes,
sometimes you know what? I had this conversation with a bunch of guys the other day who pull up comments and have to read people's avatar like screen names. Some people I don't think realize that as one word, that's really hard to like break up when you're sort of doing it in the moment. But anyway, AA Comics and Tony Cartoonish on Instagram both asked a very, very similar question. They said, does everyone who has bought in get the stretch goal when it's unlocked? And does the epic all-in reward include all of the new and any added reveals if unlocked? So who gets the stretch goals? And how far does the epic all-in go?
So the way the question is phrased is great because it can get a little confusing. So whenever a stretch goal is unlocked, everyone has access to pick those items whenever the backer kit surveys go out. As far as like the epic all-in and the all-in stuff, there's a set amount of figures that you're going to get. So if you're doing like the epic, if you're doing the all-in, you get X amount of figures. Whatever's unlocked at the time, you're going to have access to that. If you want, I think Adam and I discussed there might be two different options in the backer kit. If someone's just like, just give me one of everything or whatever it is in the epic all-in, that's fine. I do have a feeling that people are going to want to like look and individually pick exactly what they want to fill out, how many figures it is. I can't remember what it is offhand. I apologize. But the idea is as stuff gets unlocked, with the exception of the spectral pale, he's just going to be included in those bigger all-in goals. You'll have access to it. So in other words, Grimes isn't unlocked yet, but whenever, in a little less than 5K, he will become an option to pick in your backer kit. If you, if you want to do the, you say you back for the two brawlers and the weapon set. If for some reason you don't want Hannibal, you can get Grimes in place of them, or you can add him as an add-on. I hope that was answering their questions.
May I paraphrase that for you, Jason?
Please do, because I feel like it was a word salad there.
So if you back one of the sets that's sort of like two figures in a weapon set, so say you back the brawler set that Jason's referring to. The brawler set right now says Hannibal, Kali in the weapon set. But if we unlock Grimes and you decide that you want Grimes instead of one of those two, in the backer kit you'll be able to basically pick the two brawlers that you want plus the weapon set. The standard all-in will give you all of the figures that were available in the Kickstarter before anything was unlocked. The epic all-in will give you all of those figures plus one of everything that is unlocked. So they're sort of, there's no cap with the epic all-in. Like if we unlock everything, you get everything. If we don't unlock everything, then we'll make sure that everybody's still happy with the price that they're paying and stuff like that, and it will be worth it. But in the backer kit, you will basically, so the Epic All In, if it contains, 12 standard figures, you could pick 12, female figures. You wouldn't be locked into the one of each. We assume that most people will want one of each, but you will have that option, and you will be able to choose your own, so to speak. So hopefully that answers it. Brick, does that clear it up, or does that make it even more confusing? Are you muted?
Yes, and
He's
earlier I was because I was typing at the same time. So the glasses are good because I can multitask, and folks can't tell. But
there you go.
What I was gonna say is that if you're not familiar with Kickstarters, maybe this is your first one, just so you know, you make your pledge during the campaign. Campaign ends, and then you'll get a message from the campaign to go in and actually pick your final reward. So what they're describing is that there's a lot of flexibility in the all-in and the Epic all-in. On the one hand, in your mind, you're like, you might have said, I just want all of them. But if for whatever reason, as they said, you want to switch out, maybe there's certain ones you don't want, you want particular figures other than just sort of what the default is, you will be able to do that. So I heard that. The one thing you kind of mentioned is that there is no limit. And I want to make that super clear because that's the orange part in that question that's on the screen right now. This was it Friday? Yeah, Friday. There were a couple of things that were revealed on IG and Facebook and stuff that said stretch goal reveal, stretch goal reveal. So let's be really clear because you said it, Adam. Everything that was originally listed in the campaign. So that's everything before the 260,000, everything under raving. So there were the ones that say unlock and there were the ones that don't say unlock. So anything that doesn't say unlock originally, if you go all in, that's what you're getting. If you go Epic all in, by default, you're getting all the ones that don't say unlock. Anything else that gets unlocked along the way, for the Epic all in, you get. So I just want to make sure that that's true because you said we revealed, somebody revealed a bunch of potential things. As things get added as new unlocks that weren't originally part, is it true? Just super definitive so everyone hears it because people don't seem to be believing it. Is it true that they get anything else that gets unlocked with that $650 Epic all-in price?
So we'll kind of jump the gun here a little bit, and I'll give you one of the so Mamba the elephant, who is currently been revealed, but the stretch goal hasn't been revealed. So Mamba the elephant will unlock at 410,000. So if we get to 410,000 and you have backed the Epic all in, you will get Mamba the elephant in your rewards. So anything that we're revealing, anything that we unlock, anything that we make during this Kickstarter, if you backed an Epic all in, you're getting an Epic all in. You're getting everything.
It's called Epic for a reason, right?
Appreciate that so much because people don't grasp the epic nature of the Epic all in. And because you intentionally, like, you don't want to reveal everything, you intentionally said, okay, this is our current top tier at a 260,000 raving. There's a ... to that, as we'll get into as Adam sort of. So I think it's clear. I hope it's clear. It seems like it's clear. Check.
Next, did we already kind of cover this one?
No, well, you just did, but when you said it, I think if that's the top tier, why don't we just clarify?
Go
for it.
No, okay. So Drew WPG 204 on Instagram said, how far past the 230,000 do the rest of the stretch goals start? So 230,000 basically unlocks everything that we had a picture for. Then there was a picture for 260,000 for raving, but where do we go from there, Jason?
We will, because we're introducing our first bird figure, which is raving. From there, I'm not going to say the numbers because I have my eyes closed, but we will be introducing 2 more bird figures, which are just going to be really fun. And then from there, we're gonna introduce an additional brawler figure who will be an ox, which I'm super excited about. One of the fun things about the comics is if you read the comics, I Utoma and I have peppered Easter eggs all throughout the issue. So, hopefully 3 or 4 years from now, people are going to be like, oh, dude, they put like that character like on this panel. They just like snuck it in the background and it's a toy and we didn't know it and they didn't tell us. So yeah, we'll be doing the ox after the additional 2 birds. I jumped over, I got excited. We'll be doing a bird weapon set, then the bird alternate heads, and then the ox. And then we get Big Daddy Mamba. General Mamba. How do you say it? I messed it up. My nose is so like clogged up. General Mamba.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we'll be getting him next.
That's what I think it's called. It's your character. You call whatever you want.
I apologize. That's it. My eyes are just closed. My eyes are closed. And then we will be moving into the Pacadine Army Builders, which will be a hippo. And then we will wrap it up with Adam, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm kind of just going off of memory right now. Mm-hmm. And then we will do. Did I miss something? Did I skip something? I'm worried I skipped something.
No, I have it as elephant, rhino, hippo, weapons.
Yeah. Okay.
pack.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. And then we will. Then we'll do like a Pack-a-9 weapon set, and then everything after that will basically just be an extra thank you. Mm-hmm. And we'll obviously allocate those resources into making additional new characters in the future waves by making sculpts and stuff. And what's the word? We're basically gonna like continue to create and pad out our parts portfolio so that mm-hmm. after these waves are introduced, we'll introduce new characters that were that the funding helped us produce. I'm sorry, I'm like tripping over my words.
So anyway, I mean, effectively, these like every new buck that we unlock isn't sort of the end of that buck, right? Like, so every buck that we unlock just opens up more parts. It means, exactly. we've got 3 female characters in the Kickstarter. But that means that there can be a wave that has a female character added down the line. We have the brawler unlocked, we have the reptile unlocked, the speedster unlocked. That just means that characters that kind of look like that in the comic book become more likely to be made and sort of more easily made because half of the tooling or more is sort of already there.
Right.
So
you see a female rabbit in issue 3 and you're like, man, I wonder if they can do female rabbit now because we got the heroine buck is done. And you would be like, yeah, we're gonna do that type of stuff because mm-hmm. we did the work for it. We've got the parts for it to do it, and they might see that the rhino body might work for a walrus or something like that, or the brawler buck might work for a moose down the line, so it just opens up so many possibilities as far as like character potential and part potential for everything that we go all the funds that we go over what our ultimate goal is during the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next question. So now we're getting into some questions that relate specifically to like figures that are in the Kickstarter and sort of some designed things. A few people have asked this, but Brick, do you want to go ahead and ask this question?
Sure. Is it possible to ditch the banner on the bottom just to make sure we're covering?
Yes,
so this is sent in by a bunch of people, as Adam pointed out. And so how do the new pinless joints affect or not affect the articulation that we're used to from the original figs? Did you learn anything from this that helps us understand why more companies don't do pinless by default? And again, this was sort of consolidated by a bunch of things, people noticing the pinless and people wondering, is this going to be now affect what we're used to? Because we love the hand candy of the originals. And then people are always sort of wondering like, why didn't they do that in the first place? And they would love to ask a toy creator, like, why don't more people do it?
It's a great question. Okay. Excuse me. So the thing that I want Spero as a company to be known as, and not just the AWOK brand, but everything that we do, I want it to be known for just being really, really easy to articulate and move around. Even if you're not a master poser, my goal is for people to just pick the thing up and have fun with it and easily make cool action poses. So that being said, the pinless stuff just will not affect articulation at all. The reason that I suspect a lot of companies don't necessarily want to do pinless for everything is because it essentially means that if an arm or like a leg has like a shoulder part or like something like that's physically attached to like the bicep, the factory can't just do that bicep now. They have to do a full arm. So it just means that you don't necessarily get as much bang for your buck with the tooling. It doesn't necessarily translate to more expensive materials or like production cost in a sense of like, you know, putting it together and whatnot. It's all injection molded. What it does do is it doesn't give us as much versatility as far as like the different parts of the arm. So what we kind of worked out is anytime there's a bicep that has a strap and it's, you know, the part's glued on, we're doing like just the same strap for every bicep, but there'll be like a small little cavity that the unique different parts can glue in. That was kind of our workaround for it. And we could have done it the first time, but it was our first foray into doing a 6-inch scale. And already the scope of that project was, you know, pretty intense. And we wanted to make it as easy on the factory as possible to, you know, kind of get everything done and on time, or as close to our timeline as possible. So we chose to do the pinless or the pin in at that time. That being said, Thane's a pinless figure, so we can definitely do it. It's just you know, there's a certain amount of options that we had presented to us from the factory, and we chose to do pinned figures for the first go around. We heard back from fans that they would prefer the pinless, and we listened, and we think it's great to do that going forward.
Dope. Excellent.
So basically a pinless arm is one piece versus a pinned arm is 3 pieces, right? Like you have a bicep, an elbow, and a forearm. Is that correct?
Correct. It's still 3 pieces. It's 2 different kinds of plastics, but the process is slightly different because it's going to be an injection molded elbow part instead of like, you know, it's instead of its own separate thing that they insert those pins on. So it's kind of a technical thing, but it's essentially, you know, it doesn't change the articulation at all. It's just an aesthetic thing.
For anybody that's not aware, just in terms of sort of clarifying it, when a pinned arm is made, the plastic is injected into effectively 3 pieces that are on one of those trees that you see, or a sprue. Whereas a pinless arm is injected into the mold. It's 2 injections into the same piece. It is very, very complicated, but it's a very different technique. So
right, it is, yeah.
It's effectively molding it where it's already put together.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Basically, it's injected into the mold and it comes out as a pinless arm, whereas the pinned version comes out as 3 pieces and then the pins are inserted.
Right.
So.
And then they have to put them together.
Well, what is cool about that is it reduces the labor a lot, because now instead of putting together 3 different parts, it's essentially 5 different parts you're putting together. If you include those 2 pins, that's eliminated, you know? So the factory they'll be happy about it. They'll be like, oh, this is one less thing to put together. So it's an interesting process. People requested the pinless look, and we're totally fine and would like to cater to that.
I will say, for the most part, though, these figs are, you know, because usually the pins will match up with whatever the outside piece is. You don't even notice something. There's a couple of instances, but I get it. Like you said it, right? We're moving both, like in terms of the IP, but also like the art forward. So it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to see the line evolve over time. And people, I'm sure, are happy that you listen to their
we really respect the feedback and welcome it.
Yeah. Now, sort of a follow-up question to this, because I've seen this a couple times. So for something like Spectral Pale, where Spectral Pale is effectively an existing mold, will Spectral Pale be pinless, or will that be the mold being reused?
That's a good point. He will not be pinless. He's essentially I don't want to call it a repaint because there's no paint on it, but for it's a reissue. It's a special edition reissue of an existing mold. So he will be the one exception to this Kickstarter that's going to include pins.
Yeah. And then going forward, if there's another sort of feralist character in that sort of body type, it would still be pinned. Yeah. Okay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Now, if we do like a cloaked chameleon or something like that, obviously it wouldn't have pins in it, because we're designing it right off the bat without pins. So.
Okay. Next one, again, sort of design / accessory related. Have you considered more removable helmets, like on the Chinari and Horrid Troop builders, for future figures and species?
Yeah, it's ideal to have a removable helmet because you get a little bit more versatility out of the figure. A lot of it depends on what the figure is. It's very easy to do it for a simian character or something that's got kind of a smaller head. Whenever you get to something that's like a little bit more bulky, like big head, then it starts to get a little bit more problematic as far as like having it removed. If you notice, like Thane's helmet is like molded onto it. I guess it's just going to kind of depend on each character. The goal is to do that, but if it's not practical, we will have the helmet molded on. I will say that the heavy infantry lizard's helmet is molded on, and when you see it, you'll understand why. So yeah, whenever we can do it, we will do it, but it has to make sense from a production standpoint and an aesthetic as well. Like, I always think about the G.I. Joe helmets and the Star Wars helmets from when we grew up. Did they work? Were they functional? Yeah, but were they like really big and kind of silly looking? Absolutely. So it's all a matter of like kind of like finding that nice middle ground, and where we can, we will.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And just given, you got to decide based on the character, right? I guess the overall design. So I appreciate that you're not just sort of like mechanically saying it will always be this moving forward. It really is going to depend on what you end up designing.
It really does. Yeah.
Cool.
Next one, and I got to step away for a quick second. So Breck, do you want to go ahead and ask this one?
So again, a combination of a bunch of things folks have sent in, but will the new figures in the Kickstarter's armor have weapons storage of any kind? People referring largely to the straps, but in general.
Yeah.
And then will the new figs... Oh, sorry. I know you've got your eyes closed. There's a little bit more on there. And then, will the new figs have the hole in the backs for shields, and will those be used somehow? If, are those things... I think the question, if I'm remembering from combining them, was, are there any more thoughts in future figures where those pegs might be useful? Is that something you've considered at all, or not yet?
Yeah. So all the figures will have holes in the back. The only exception I can think to that would maybe be the elephant, but the idea is for them to all have those holes. That way, if there's any kind of like future backpacks or any kind of accessories that will lend itself, especially quivers, we want those holes there just for the, we want to have the option open for those kind of accessories to be plugged in. We are working on some sort of universal strap. We have a really good design that Jeremy Wilson's working on right now. We want to dial it in and make sure that it's ready to go and perfect before we send it all to the factory. But the idea is to try to include those with figures that necessitate the need to hold extra weapons. Like Boone's got a functioning holster, so he might need it for the little automatic weapon that fits on his back. So we are working on several options.
Cool.
I noticed people didn't want my glasses back on.
Yeah,
I felt left out with you two, and then you took yours off, and then I realized, oh, wait, I could multitask. I'm still listening, I swear, but this is cool.
Man. I could surf the web while we're talking. You know, it's funny. It's one of those things where it didn't occur to me because my play style, usually I don't have everything loaded out. But it's great feedback because I want people to play with the figures the way they want to play with them. And, you know, it's so cool to see, you know, like the new upcoming Savage Crucible line. They have like all their weapons like loaded out. Like their lizard figures have like holsters on the side for the swords, and then like on the back as well. So it's a really good suggestion. And I know the Four Horsemen had the little leather strap. I use that like on so many different toys, or so many different figures, I should say.
Yeah.
It just makes good sense to look into it and make sure that we've got that option as well. So
totally. And I don't want to, interrupt the flow of the questions, but just to throw out there, that's one of the things that I really love about modern figures in general, but like looking at maybe the forethought you put into the figures, those holes on the back, for example, when you're mentioning backpacks, like that's dope.
Right.
It opens up a whole other possibility later. We might not be using it right now.
Right.
We have them for the shields.
Exactly.
The shields thing is fantastic, right? Especially because you can kind of switch left and right. Got to throw that out there. All of that is like super smart. My next piece, hopefully, is, you mentioned earlier at the start of this that Four Horsemen sort of set this bar really for like the indies, right? But I guess I'm sort of slowly crossing my fingers. I know it's only been a year since people have had these figures in hand, but I'm waiting for that third party, group of folks who are creating accessories. And I'm hoping
we love that.
Yeah, them hearing you talk about that is like, oh yeah, wait, why don't we do more helmets? Wait, why don't we do more backpacks and tech? So just want to put that out into the world. So
yeah, and I've seen people asking about that in the Facebook groups and stuff too. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I like Instagram a lot just because it's very visual, and that's how my brain tends to work. But whenever I do go on Facebook, I see a lot of people asking about. I'm trying to think what the word is. It's essentially like an adapter for like the Four Horsemen body. People are asking.
The neck adapter.
Yeah, they want to put the AWOK heads on the Four Horsemen heads.
Of course,
the bodies. Excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, like, oh my God, like I feel like they lend themselves even better to the Cosmic Legions for some reason than they do the Mythic Legions, which I feel like it's in line with AWOK, especially if you read the comics. I know I bought several of the Cosmic prison guards, the one with like the little yellow strap, specifically to put AWOK heads on it. So I get it, and I love it too. It's great.
Now, one more question in regards to sort of the Kickstarter, and then I think we will be moving on to sort of like future plans and things like that. So the sort of final question that we've got in regards to the Kickstarters, for estimating scale of the hippo or elephant, are the concept art of the figures in scale to one another? How do these new stretch goal figures size up to others? People were asking. We were kind of one step ahead. Now I'm going to try to share this, but if I can't, Brick, I think you have this too, so you could probably share it.
Yeah, that's what I was jumping over here.
I hit share and it didn't do anything, so
I hit it here.
Gotta love technology.
Do you happen to remember the? Darn it! Hold on, let me just do it again. I did download it.
While y'all are pulling that up, one of the things that I love that, Derek says it all the time. We're building a brand, not just a toy line. So, we've got the comic, we've got the toys. We want to eventually do a cartoon at some point if we can pitch it and get that into rotation. And I feel like that, in the 80s, I just think they just had it dialed in so well with the comic, the toys, and the cartoon. It was just this circular, what's the word?
Like an ecosystem or something.
But it was a strategy of just this circular promoting of the IP itself, and it's what I envision. This really came about. The 6-inch line really kind of came about when I was sitting around for during COVID, and I tried to really kind of like think about all the options and everything, like especially like colors and whatnot for people that want to customize and stuff. And you know, the cartoon was kind of always at the final step to that. So I'm super excited that the comics in stores and everything now, and people that might not necessarily have ever heard of the line will see our little Gorillas homage and be like, what is this? I want to pick this up. You know, we've got that special edition cover, and you know, kind of draw them into the IP and get excited about checking it out.
Yeah, I picked up my comic books actually yesterday. They got delayed at my local comic book shop, and I was like, they better not get canceled. I'm going to be so angry if I can't get my books.
Well, I know but
I managed to pick them up yesterday.
We sold out of the first run. We sold out of the first run, so I was concerned about it too. I was like, man, I hope that they all go out, you know? So that's good to know that they made it safe and sound.
And real quick, when you say sold out, both the alternate cover and the original cover?
As far as I know, they both sold out.
That's
which
awesome.
means, you know, we'll do reprints as necessary, but it probably, you know, honestly, it's not going to be until after the trade paperback of, you know, after issue 5 is done. It's not going to be available until after that. Let me go get some more tissues. Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
Yep.
Be right back.
We can pull this up while he's gone. So there's zoomed all the way in.
For dramatic effect, we've got Pale, and that's a figure that people know. So if you were wondering how these newer revealed figures and the unlocked figures might scale with that figure that you have in hand, there you go. And these are you know, these are best estimates done by Jason, who knows the figures well. Of course, you know, 2 of these are concept art. So there you go. You know, not every buck is here, right? Raving's not here, but I think a lot of questions that people had were especially around the hippo and the rhino, which are sharing the same buck, and then of course the other pachydyne in Mamba on the far end there. So you can compare how
huge he is.
Yeah, compared to Thane. Right? Like we thought that was a big beefy between Thane and that new guy, the new horrid guy, and Tanger. Look at the build of that rhino, and then you've got, of course, what is that? That's probably
height-wise.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just trying to compare in my brain to like other toys that I have. It's not quite a Mythic Legions troll. It's approaching that.
The elephant will be the same height, give or take, as the Mythic Legions ogre.
Yeah, but wider, clearly.
Thank you.
Much wider.
I was trying to convey that, and now seeing it on the screen, I realize he is a little shorter than what we're anticipating. But maybe it's a good thing to set the expectations lower and then deliver the bigger size whenever it comes out. I did forget to put Raving in there just because he's about the same height as Kanji. Man, we're kind of banging out the details as far as like the way the wings and stuff are going to work behind the scenes. And I'll show y'all when the sculpt's a little bit further, but it's one of those things where I feel like it's the best of both worlds as far as like playability. So I won't say anything more than that. So.
It looks great. I mean, yeah.
What's up, Derek?
You're going to figure out what you need to figure out, and based on what we've seen so far.
Exactly. Yeah.
But looking at this, it's such a cool. This is what I love. Like I love variety on my shelf. That's why I love Mythic Legions, right? Yeah. Because we've got the ogres, we got the trolls, we got the brutes, and here you go. You're building out a whole, animal kingdom, right? of characters.
Right,
exactly. It's great.
Yeah. I feel like the dwarf size is the only thing that we're missing as far as like body types go. And once we get that nailed, then we'll just kind of really build out each body type with characters and accessories for those characters. So it's exciting.
So a couple people have asked.
Go ahead.
A couple people have asked and sort of commented about the Speedster buck as far as the size, and you had mentioned that you printed it out a little bit too big, so the samples that have been seen are sort of more in line with that Pale buck, but they are smaller. You can see there that you know, the Speedster is shorter than the female buck even. So you're gonna get I mean, you think about other lines, right? Other lines that have been around for years and years and years in some cases, and they don't have anywhere near this variety as far as scale goes. So it's crazy how ambitious all of this really truly is. Like, and I don't know that people really sort of understand how crazy Jason is for just being like, yeah, we're gonna have 8 different sizes within
Right.
3
I am
years of
crazy.
the line. Like no
Right.
one else does
Yeah.
that. It's crazy.
Yeah, the idea, I mean, I will say I am a bit of a mad scientist, but the idea is to do the hard work early on so that we can enjoy all the different variety that we'll have in years. So I think doing the pinless now is a very important move because there's just going to be more and more pinless figures as we go forward. Adam and I were talking behind the scenes. We just got that new He-Man. He's got the battle armor chest as well as like the metal. I don't want to call it a bra, but I don't know what else we'd call it.
Crop top.
And I think all the Masterverse is pinless, if I'm not mistaken. But this one's definitely pinless. So we just want to, like I said, we want to do that. We want to build a good, solid foundation early on. And I think seeing the scope of this Kickstarter makes it a little bit more, it kind of clears it up why we decided to do the Kickstarter for this type of, scope. It's just really big. It's a lot of stuff. We want to get it funded so that we can kind of plow straight ahead and have all these cool figures coming out in variety for each of these waves that we do going forward.
There was a question in the chat a while ago, and I thought I started, but I can't find it very quickly. Can you just quickly, as far as this goes, we're looking at Mamba, we're looking at the Rhino, I can't remember his name. Let's say hypothetically, and I don't think this is going to happen, but hypothetically, what if the elephant doesn't fund during the Kickstarter? Does he just sort of get pushed out to a wave, in 2026 or something? Like, is the intention that you're going to make all of these regardless?
Well, not necessarily. We got to make sure that the sales are there. The waves that we've had so far have done very well. We need to make sure that the demand for the product's there. So the elephant is a more risky type of thing because it's this, I kind of consider like our Galactus, where it's like, it's a big giant centerpiece thing that's going to take up, a lot of tooling and it's going to be a more expensive figure. So it's something that we probably wouldn't start sculpting until much, like you said, 2026 or something along those lines. And it's just one of those things, but I feel really confident that we're going to get it funded and we'll have it a lot sooner than that.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Should we just leave that scale graphic up there? I think that's just a great. I'm just going to leave it up there. There's no reason not to.
Right?
Yeah. Acorns 30 on Instagram. Who I don't want to blow him up. I know who he is on YouTube, but I'll just leave it as Acorn 30 on Instagram. Other than what's in the Kickstarter, will there be more items in 2024, 2025? So I think people are sort of wondering, will there be any sort of con exclusives or event exclusives? Could there potentially be a wave of Primal Ancients or something along those lines?
So we're going to get the Gladiator wave will be delivered this summer. So we know we're getting 4 more figures. It's right around the corner. We'll be getting those 4 figures. Then we're going to follow that up with the Void. And then we might pepper in a couple little surprises in between those times. We do have a couple of exclusives planned out, but I don't want to like jump the gun and mention those details without, I don't want to mention them just yet, but we absolutely have product planned to kind of bridge the gap between these figures and what we have out, in our production schedule. Awkward silence.
This one so there's two questions that sort of are similar, but we're trying to get sort of ahead of the curve a little bit here. So Brick, you go ahead and read this one, including the name, because I don't want to try to figure out what that name is supposed to be read.
Glanton 825. Let's say probably Green Lantern 825. I don't know. Sector 825, whatever. G Lantern 825 asks, any chance of the crocodile from issue 2 getting made? If so,
he saw it.
Which buck will be used?
Like going into like the technical aspect of stuff, whenever they're Arlen and Dan and James are designing the figures, they can turn the fur off of that, out that pale buck, you can turn the fur off and it can be, it can be the reptile skin, it could be the furry body, or it can be just flesh. So that being said, if you guys know what he's talking about, there's an Easter egg crocodile in issue 2, it would probably line up with the rhino buck. So hopefully that's helpful. We would do
a big old boy,
a new figure. Yeah, it's going to be a big figure. And whenever we do that type of thing, we'll probably do several different types of, if we're going to do a crocodile, we'll probably do an alligator at the same time, and maybe some other fun stuff. That way we can get several uses out of that figure.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then this one, because this is and there's been a couple in the chat, so we'll sort of just get ahead of it. Everyone everywhere all at once asks, would you ever make and then they just put an animal in there. So do you want to sort of objectively and sort of definitively sort of answer, which species will be made and sort of how that timeline works? I mean, I kind of know, but maybe they need to hear it from you.
My goal is to have a very nice representation of the animal kingdom. Where they'll be introduced very much necessitates how they're factoring into the story. Whenever I started out, this all started out as a comic book. And, one of the things that I decided on was if there's variables of the heroes, it needs to make sense in the story, in the comic. And, I really would love to do like African stags and stuff like that. And, American white-tailed deer, stuff like that. But it needs to be introduced in the story first. So, whenever you see it in the comic book, then you can kind of bank on there being plans for that type of character to be introduced at some point down the line. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, I mean, I know, this goes back to conversations that you and I have had, like since before I think the figures even came out, like since before I had any figures in hand. That ultimately, like your goal, like the ambition that you have is to not have characters that just get made and then have to get shoehorned into the comic. It's the other way around. Like if it fits in the comic, then you want to make a figure for it, because that's, the characters represent the toys. And when you sort of have that cross play of like the lore and the IP, in physical form, right? So, when somebody says, I want this species, it's like, well, when that comes around in the book, there's a much better chance. But if it hasn't been in the book, asking whether it will be in a figure is kind of jumping the gun a little bit. I was going to say jumping the shark, but who knows? There may be a shark at some point.
Yeah, and if I can just real quick add, based on what I've heard before, a couple of things. Like I think it's important for folks to realize, we like the animals that we all love, we get it, but you're creating a story in a world, and I think that's primary. And then and then the other piece is just, I did want to include within the answer of this question, because you shared something this week in a stream that was really good, and I want to make sure it's captured in this one. There was a question about bugs, and I loved your answer. Could you repeat that here for folks?
Yeah. So in the original comic book, we had a villain that was essentially a golem of a colony of just all these creepy bugs and whatnot. So, you know, we can kind of fudge, you know, a rabbit being the same height as a chimpanzee, you know, that's not too much of a stretch. But whenever we get into like the insect world, it gets a little bit more challenging. So yeah, like I feel like I like the approach of the Game of Thrones, where it kind of starts out in this kind of realm of, you know, believability, and then it slowly works its way into fantasy. And so whenever we do introduce like insect type stuff, I want it to be, it's basically, you know, going to be a revisioning or a reboot of like the insect golem that we saw in the first comic. What's up, Liv?
Did you get some SpaghettiOs from the store?
Some what?
Some SpaghettiOs.
SpaghettiOs. Got it. We're going to get SpaghettiOs tonight.
All right.
So yeah. And I mean, come on, that's going to be a fun toy. You know, I envision that insect golem. It's the first figure that I want to include slime gimmick, you know, so to have like a little slime pack in.
Nice.
I don't know about you guys, but I just love slime. So I wanted to kind of be packed in some like dark gooey slime, make it just that much more repulsive, you know. So, but
that's
yeah,
awesome, especially
that's
you know, just to throw it into your head. If you're going to do that, maybe like places where you can put holes and slime can come through.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. I envision it having like a couple of holes here and there in some torso or whatever. But
nice.
we want that slime to kind of get all gunky and leaking and looking great as it's like slowly leaking through the figure.
Oh, that makes me. I'm gonna have to let my kids get slime. I hate slime, right? But I really want that for myself. So how am I gonna be able to say no to them?
Right? It won't be like a big giant tub of slime. It'll be like a little small amount. It'll be just enough to kind of like cover the figure.
That's acceptable. All right. Now one more question, and then we will move to sort of like the viewer questions. I've been starring them this whole time, so if you've been asking questions, I have been trying to note them all. Acorn 30 again asks, after issue 5 of the comic is released, will it remain a monthly book?
That's the goal. You know, I also like the way that Mike Mignola did the Hellboy series, where, you know, sometimes a story arc is 5 issues, which is great for a paper trade back. Sometimes they're 8 issues. So we're going to tell the story in the length of time we need to tell. The second story arc should be 5 issues as well. But the goal is for them to be monthly releases. I didn't submit issue 2 in time for it to be a monthly release, but after issue 2 is when we'll start doing the monthly releases. And the second story arc is really fun. It opens up the world in a different way. You know, in the first story arc, we kind of saw a little bit of travel implied, but it was kind of like they're in the ship, now they're at the destination. In this one, there's been a lot of turmoil happening in the first story arc. So we're introducing the Pirates Guild, and you know, they're going to be exploring a lot of different places that we haven't seen before. And without giving away too much, it's going to open up a lot of options for different kind of animal city states and different characters that I think people will be excited about.
I love that. Brick and I in AWOK Talk have talked about, like, okay, where does the second story go? Is it still in the same, like we've said, like, we've seen such a very small geographic area within the first story arc that the logical sort of next step is to like basically move the journey like physically further. So that's awesome. And I think that's great too, as far as the toy line goes, because you know, the second story can open up, you know, new geography and by extension new species. And then, you know, for people that are asking for like things like aquatic species. It's sort of like, well, in the story arc where they get to the water, that kind of opens up a wave of aquatic, figures. So I like that. I like that answer a lot.
We'll be visiting a fishing village in the second story arc. So look forward to seeing some fish folk.
All right, that is all of the sort of preloaded questions that we had. Let me reset my overlay. There we go. So let's get into some questions that have been submitted throughout the show so far. Now, don't just start flooding the comments with questions, because there's lots to get through already. So we'll try to go through them. I'm basically going to try to go through them in the order that they came in, and I will skip ones that I feel that we've already answered. But Thanos Copter asked, will there be availability of digital versions of the comics going forward? He says, I prefer digital these days to physical, and I don't have a local comic book shop. So will digital be back at some point?
They will be back. Right now the goal is to release everything in physical media. And once all of those have been gone and sold out, we will do the paperback trade. After that print run is done, we will offer them digitally for everyone to kind of catch up and kind of be ready for the second story arc.
Next up, we had New York City Figure Fanatic says, how does the Brawler Buck compare to Thane in size and articulation? We've answered that question as far as size, but as far as articulation, is the Brawler Buck more similar to Pale with the butterfly joints and such, or is it more similar to Thane?
It's essentially the Pale Buck, with the exception of having calf articulation. So they actually have more articulation than the Pale Buck, believe it or not. That chest is very wide, so he might not be able to dual wield stuff as easily as the Pale Buck, but it should still be able to do so.
Okay. This is a good one, because I think I've answered this question, but I've said that I'm not 100% certain. Is a hawk-hen a leopard or a jaguar? Now, my inclination is you've got that sort of South American vibe to him, so I keep saying jaguar because that's a South American version of that.
He is absolutely a jaguar. He's a jaguar. So you know how Han calls Chewbacca Chewie, I call him Kin. So he's a South American jaguar.
Okay, cool. Definitively, he is a jaguar.
He is absolutely a jaguar.
And then Sean Colleran had a few questions, but I think some of these are sort of answered. But also, like, shout out to Sean, because Sean is clearly a fan from a little ways back, because he's got reference to the original graphic novels in here. He says, how come Boone didn't come with his robot eye? He's still cool looking. And then Sean says, any chance of Juniper or Toxius the skunk? And I think we've sort of
so I feel like the reboot of Boone is probably the most drastic character redesign. And that was because I really wanted it to have more of a pirate feel. He did carry on a little bit of elements as far as like that, like robotic arm. He didn't get the eye patch. Maybe he'll get it later on in the story or something. We don't know yet. Juniper, as far as like foxes and little coyotes and foxes and coyotes, and animals similar to Boone's size, we're gonna sculpt an organic arm so that we can do stuff like that in the future. What was the other one? There was another one. Oh, the Toxius, right?
Yeah, Toxius the skunk.
That's something that's that's something that would be really fun to kind of do as a convention exclusive, but it doesn't really have any kind of like, it's not going to fit into the mythos of the comic book itself. So if we introduce some sort of skunk character, I kind of want to turn the cliche on its head and have him, I don't want it to be something that's like a typical Stinkor homage. I want it to be something.
I was going to say, yeah, you're kind of like,
yeah, I'll have to think on it and make it distinctly AWOK.
So you're going to go a little more Pepe Le Pew?
No. I don't think he'll be comic relief necessarily. I just think he won't. I don't think the smell will be something that factors in. It's something that I'll have to think about. I remember whenever we redesigned Atreyu for this iteration or this line, it took me about a week to purge as much kind of like Lion-O and Thundercats out of it as I thought I could, and I feel like we've definitely achieved that. His personality is so different. His appearance is very different. They just so happen to be anthropomorphic lions. There's only so much difference you could make without, while you're playing in the same genre. But that's kind of the goal. Like if we're going to introduce a skunk figure, it's not going to be just like an homage to Stinkor. But I definitely want to have them featured at some point. It's just a matter of working it in.
I like GameQuest's take. The skunk could be sort of like a black stealth character that has sort of a defense mechanism, without it being. Yeah, I like that too.
Although it's not particularly stealthy, but
I've started
once they spray.
No,
it's funny.
He's there once he sprays, but
right. You're like, this guy's the worst ninja ever. It's funny because I've got my eyes closed during this, so like I'm talking and like thinking of stuff while we're discussing it at the same time. And I think I told Adam, but last summer the dogs got sprayed 3 or 4 times within the course of the summer. They'd get sprayed, and I was like, girls, leave the skunk alone. It's just essentially like a cat, a stinky cat, and they would go and play with that thing and they would get sprayed.
It really is a stinky cat.
Not again. It was like, oh my God. Oh my gosh. But it's coming. The skunk's coming back, but they haven't got sprayed again. Thank God. Hopefully they leave it alone.
It's two golden labs, correct?
We do have 2 golden labs. They don't need,
they're so sweet and innocent, right?
They
like it's just like they have to go play with the skunk. They can't not go play with the skunk.
Exactly. I was taking a bath one time and one of them was just like banging the door down. I thought it was Elizabeth. I was like, what's going on? I opened the door and one of them, she ate a wasp and it stung the inside of her mouth and her face was just like poofed up and she was like trying to get in the tub with me. And I was like, whoa, calm down. It's all good, but they're just big babies, so gotta love them.
Now, when we get to if we get to the insects, right? Could we get an alternate head pack of like characters that have been stung by bugs and just have like swollen
would be hilarious. That would be so funny.
That could be like a pack-in with that figure, right?
Idea.
Like a bee figure gets a pack-in, like stung faces that go with other characters.
Make a note of that. I think that's actually kind of hilarious. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Red 5. So we kind of went over this, but yes, to confirm. So if Mamba gets unlocked, I'll get it because I went with the Epic All-In. That is correct. If you go Epic All-In, and you can still do it. You can still go Epic All-In right now. You can change your pledge to Epic All-In, and that will guarantee that anything that gets unlocked, anything at all that gets unlocked, will be in your package when it gets shipped to you.
Right. The value across the board for that tier is just fantastic. And ensuring that you're going to get that figure is just a little extra icing on the cake as far as I'm concerned.
And Cato makes a very good point. This is often sort of, a little bit misunderstood or sort of, if you're new to Kickstarter. He says, remember, you're backing for an amount spent more than specific figures. In Backer Kit, you will select figures that match the amount pledged. So you kind of, you will get your money's worth And let's be realistic. There's army builders in here, and there's alternate heads, and customizing potential is massive with this line. So you're not going to be like, well, what am I going to do with these figures now? You're going to want more. That's what happened to me multiple times. I can't, I've lost track of how many like Chunari, infantries and the primal ancients and the horde soldiers. Like, I can't even remember how many I have of each, because I got them on the shelf. I've got them in a drawer. I've got parts here and there.
Like a little unit, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. That's one of the things that's so fun is like, because we've got a lot of accessories that are included with all the figures. I have like a little accessory drawer, like I'm sure a lot of you guys have, and it's fun where you'll kind of like look at your like army unit and you're like, that guy needs like a shoulder pad or something. You can kind of like dig around and you like find some that accessory, and then you're like, oh, this will go good too, so kind of mix and match and stuff. So yeah, it's just
I literally have a whole drawer in my desk. I literally have a whole drawer that's dedicated just to like AWOK spare parts.
That's awesome. I love it.
Sean asks, will you be able to get figures from Backer Kit after the Kickstarter? So will you be able to add to your order?
Yeah. So they'll have the add-on option for backers. Anyone that kind of missed out on the Kickstarter, once we close the surveys out, we'll make everything available, but they're going to be at retail price. So it's much better to like, say go all in or the Epic all in. That way, you got your bases covered. If for some reason you don't do it during the Kickstarter, you can always add on stuff at the Kickstarter discount. But once we close out the survey, then all those prices on all the figures they'll revert back to the standard MSRP.
Yeah. Can I clarify that a little bit? I have a sort of follow-up question. So my understanding was that there was going to be a Backer Kit period that was for Kickstarter backers only, where the pricing would remain.
That's correct.
Then once we open the Backer Kit to everybody, then the prices will be retail. Okay.
Exactly. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So Kickstarter is your best bet. Backer Kit, you'll have a little bit of a buffer if you need to add a little bit more sort of after the fact. If you didn't budget for as many figures as you want, you will have a little bit of a buffer there. And then once it gets sort of opened up like wide. Yeah, exactly.
So if you see something, you're like, once the survey goes live and you're like, okay, got everything that I thought I wanted, let me add on these 3 add-ons, and then the Backer Kit will stay open for essentially, we're projecting like about a month. So you'll have 2 additional paid periods to save up if you want to like really kind of go all out and load up on add-ons afterwards.
Let's see. Collector expresses, I so want that Mamba. You and everybody.
Who doesn't, baby?
Exactly.
Get that Big Daddy.
And like I said, he's gonna be 10 inches tall. He's gonna be a big boy.
Yeah. Thane was that chunky boy from the first campaign, and I think we unlocked him on the last day, right? It was fun. It was one of those things where like, holy cow, we did it. We unlocked him, and that was a really fun, exciting finish to that campaign. Hopefully we'll unlock Mamba much earlier than that. And I think everyone will kind of do the Admiral Akbar whenever the Superstar Destroyer kind of like goes into the Death Star. And he's like, oh my gosh, we got Big Daddy Mamba. I should probably stop calling him that. That sounds bad.
Here's an aside real quick. I know the Robin Hood cartoon by Disney is a big thing for Adam, but is that big for that big for you too? Okay.
Oh my gosh,
people are excited about that.
I'm constantly angling for like those versions of these figures. Yes. Yeah.
I love that cartoon. I think it was one of the 2 cartoons that whenever I had chicken pox in 2nd grade, it was that we had a VHS with Robin Hood, and I think it might have been Sleeping Beauty, but definite core memories. Okay, Adam, don't get upset, but I'm gonna spill the beans on one of the characters. One of the bird characters is gonna be a bard, He will not be a rooster though. So breaking news, you heard it here first. So we're gonna have a bard. And his
Oodalali, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the medieval guitar that he had was, but our guitar, well, a lute, is that what it is? Well, our bard's his lute will also function as a bow and arrow. So it won't just make beautiful lyrics. It'll function as a makeshift bow and arrow as well. So it should be fun.
There it is. Yeah, there you go. Just gonna bring this up. Super chat from Drew Chase. Thank you very much, Drew. Drew, who we all know and love, says, "Hey Jason, I love your Cyclops glasses. Adam and Brick love the show. AWOK Tribe
Thanks,
strong. Hashtag Mamba. Yeah, we got to get that going.
Yeah. Bring on that.
Now,
Mamba.
there's a few questions. There's a few other sort of questions about like the epic all-ins and sort of the backer kit and stuff like that. We'll clear that all up in updates and things like that. Jeremiah Jordan says, can we add an epic all-in or a second epic all-in within backer kit after the Kickstarter ends? I believe so. I mean, that's the intention, is that the backer kit sort of gives you the opportunity to kind of lock in your rewards. But you should have the opportunity to sort of add to it. And if there's something you want to add in the backer kit that you don't see there, or that you think you can't, reach out to us, because I'm sure we can manage to like arrange to add it on, because we can manually override anything. We can do whatever we want.
Should do that.
We should be able to
make that an option.
Yeah,
savings on the all-in and the epic all-in. Whenever you add up all the figures, like, if a tribe member wants to do that, I mean, it's a thank you to you if you're going to go in that much. I think it should be available.
Yeah, and I think, like, to answer this question sort of more directly, again, during that backer kit period where Kickstarter backers are sort of adding to their pledges, we will. It probably won't for the open pre-order backer kit period.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Yeah.
Because that sort of defeats the purpose of having the Kickstarter out front and having
those savings
will kind of come in after the fact.
Savings won't be passed on. Yeah.
We're
talking Kickstarter backers. Once the backer kit pre-orders open up to the general public, those savings won't be reflected. They won't carry over from the Kickstarter.
So what you're saying,
Jeremiah Jordan,
epic all in now.
Yeah, that's it. Just back to epic all in now, and then sort of you're ahead of the curve. Jeremiah Jordan, can you describe the alternate head for the chameleon? Is it a snake?
Oh, the one picture.
Can I tell them? Or it is a snake. It is. I forgot what the picture. It is a snake. Yeah, it's a snake. Yeah. So
they've seen the picture. So yes. The image is up.
Utoma knocked it out the park, and Dan knocked it out the park. He showed me the horny toad with the open and closed mouth. I'll show it to you guys later on. I'm not ready to kind of like reveal it as far as like on the Kickstarter yet, because it's just a gray render. But they're going to add a lot of army builder potential to both of those characters. So you're going to essentially have 3 army builder lizard figures. Again, it goes into adding the quality into the all-in, the epic all-in. Try not to hiccup. I know I'm personally planning on, having like 5 or 6 of the lizards of Koresh and Corvius, and then, maybe like, 8. What the hell? Let's do 10 of the heavy infantry to kind of really build out my reptile army.
Yeah, and I mean, we should mention too, right? You get a couple reptiles, you get some of the series or the wave 3 armor packs, and all of a sudden you can have lizards in the horrid. You can have I mean, I need to remember to stock up on those horrid the armor sets, because I think the horrid for me sort of gets a little bit of all the species. And so I'm looking at, spares of every character, swapping the armor to get that horrid sort of look and feel, because they're just like the rabble. Like Brick and I have chatted about this before too. Like there seems to be like an elite horrid, and then there's like just a whole bunch of yahoos that just want to fight people, and like you put them in armor and away you go.
Yep, exactly. They're just kind of cannon fodder to kind of like, like you said, you really nailed it. They've got like their elite troops that are kind of like very skilled and decked out in armor and the good weapons. And then they've got that cannon fodder that's, essentially made to kind of wear down the opposing army that they're taking on. So it's a really good point.
Jonathan Peary.
Before you move on real quick. So you did reveal the snake head and the horny toad on Friday. And so you've already sort of teased stuff that's beyond raving. What we haven't yet seen are the alternate heads for the others. Can people expect it? What should they do? Should they come back weekly? Let's start throwing that out there in terms of checking for updates.
So we talked earlier about like the pace of the Kickstarter. I feel like we're unlocking stuff, if not as fast this time I think we're unlocking stuff faster this time. That being said, like the sculptors, the illustrators, we're all kind of scrambling behind the scenes to catch up on everything. I don't know how much you guys can see through my glasses, but like I have like off to the side, I have like the 2D artwork for the two birds that we're working on right now. They both look awesome. I can't wait to color them. I talked to Arlen. Our sculptors do a bunch of work for Hasbro and other companies. I think Arlen projected that we would have like the grimacing and growling faces, not this week, but the next. So you can expect to kind of check it out in about 2 weeks' time. And then we'll just kind of go from there. As the lizard stuff's well on the way. We've got two of the 3 heads sculpted. So my hope is to have those printed out sometime this week and painted, maybe photographed over the weekend while we're in Toylanta, and then updated sometime next week. So not next
like
week,
regular
the
schedule.
After,
you can see no regular schedule.
The best bet is to just kind of keep checking in.
Yeah.
Right.
And Spero Toys.
The best bet is just to kind of keep checking in.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. Exactly.
Jonathan Peary asked, does pre-ordering from eCollectibles count toward the Kickstarter? Yes, it absolutely will. Whether it's
a great question.
Yes, it absolutely will. That's going through the Kickstarter as well.
As does BBTS.
Rape has
BBTS as well.
Soft goods packs. It's going to be on the figures, but would you ever do a soft goods pack?
I don't anticipate doing that. That's something we need to talk to the project manager about. I would love to do it. Just as I'm looking at the 2 of the upcoming figures, 2 of the birds are going to have soft goods. So it's one of those things where it's a great question, but I don't want to get too far over our skis, so to speak. It's something that I want to talk to the factory about and make sure that it makes sense for every aspect of the production.
Now, I will answer this very, very quickly. Red 5 says, when will a new list of stretch goals come out? So that's part of like, so we have all the stretch goals mapped out. We have sort of everything planned dollar wise. Our intention was always to sort of release them sort of as we went. As things started unlocking, we'd sort of, show a new thing and sort of unlock a new thing. Some of the reveals came out sooner than we had sort of initially planned. But we kind of went through the list earlier. As far as like reveals, we're just going to keep going because this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, right? Like we want part of it. Part of the reason for the Kickstarter, sorry to sort of, Jason, you could be saying all this stuff too, but part of the reason for the Kickstarter was to get in the news cycle and to sort of have things show up along sort of the process, just to get new eyes on the brand, just to get, exposure, just to have, an image in a news story or a Facebook post, rather than sort of all the stuff just get dumped out all at once. So you will get it, as we said. The elephant unlocks at 410,000. There's stretch goals before that, and there's stretch goals after that. So just stay tuned. When Jason does more shows, if he's closer to a stretch goal at that point, there may be another reveal of a render or something like that. But they're coming. I know that everybody wants it all at once, but be patient. It's well worth it. So
in the meantime, I'll go ahead and share on screen the stuff that's been announced. If you missed it, and you can just keep talking, we don't have to talk through it, but I'll share it while you're talking. Go for it.
Red 5 asks, any more armor packs in the future?
It's not something that I'm focusing on right now. Right now, we're really focusing on packing as much quality and accessories and excitement into these figures. I'm sure it's something that, whenever we circle back around to doing ancient figures again, we'll probably offer an armor set in that type of a wave. One of the things that I thought about, the approach to the ancients is I want to focus a little bit more on dry brushing. I'd like for them to include two different heads, two different sets of hands. So, if it's a feline character and a dog character, they'll share the same hands and feet. But it's something that I want to have a little bit more paint apps whenever we offer those again.
A couple more questions about let's see, and we'll there's sort of a hard out at about 2 hours, so we got as long as you guys are cool to go another 10 or 15.
I'm multitasking, so I'm good.
Yeah, I can do another 15.
Michael asks, what are your favorites in the Kickstarter, one per wave? Jason, do you want to go first? Do you have a favorite? Is that
that's always a tough question from a creator, but man, I don't know why. Like, I feel like Boone is my favorite for the time being. It might change or vary, but I don't know. I'm very excited about Boone. What about you guys?
Kanji was my favorite in that wave, but Boone is sort of right there. But then again, that wave also has Mala and Jadu, and it's like, I mean, part of it is that, like, with all the comic books and as deep as Brick and I have kind of gone with the lore, it's really hard to pick because I need those characters. Figure aside, the characters need to be on my shelf, right? So it's Michael, I think the answer to your question is it's virtually impossible to answer that.
It is. Like, I forgot about, how could I forget about Mala? Like, I feel like whenever we get her in hand, like, I've been looking at those three figures, those characters like Mala, Hale, and Thane since 2011, and it's like, when I have those three as like toys, I'd be like, oh, huge life goal achievement, So
for me, it's Jadu. Jadu. Just for a bunch of reasons, super central to the story, but also she's just got a graphic look that you don't normally sort of see for apes, right? Or humanoid apes. I love her hair, the colors. So I think if I had to pick a favorite, it'd be that, and then easily after that would be Mamba, because I'm addicted to giant figures that take up way too much space.
I have he's
definitely going to be a showpiece.
Oh yeah. I have an inclination towards foxes and elephants. Those are my favorite animals. So to potentially get them both in this Kickstarter is kind of bonkers. And then again, that Robin Hood thing. Like we're getting so many of the Robin Hood animals in the scales that they kind of were in Robin Hood.
Right.
Yep,
So,
yep.
Right.
And to that point, Red 5, where was it? Oh, I'm in the wrong place. Red 5 said, would the Thane buck make a good buck for bear characters? I think the Rhino Hippo buck is a better buck for a bear, personally.
Yeah, that's a tough call. You know, I thought about
Sure.
repurposing the Thane buck for a bear, but it doesn't. It's hard to tell how much would actually make it through because you need a big belly. His arms are too long, his legs are too short, so it's a tough call. I think it would probably need to be the Rhino style buck.
Yeah, I mean that Rhino looks way more like Baloo. So that's what I need.
Right.
In Baloo / Little John.
Yeah. Man, what a great cartoon. Oh my goodness. Did that come out before or after Jungle Book? I really don't know.
I don't know either. But they reused so much of the
after because they reused footage from
Jungle Book. It's so funny how I guess it was maybe like 5 to 6 years ago, people started noticing the reuse of the Disney animation. And it's almost like they wanted to take something away from it. And I was just kind of like, guys, like those are masterpieces, and like them, you know, to me, it takes nothing away. It's fun and cool to see them do it, you know? But I think the initial inclination was like, oh, they cheated. And it's like, no, they didn't. They made both of them. Like, what are you talking about? You know? And it's like, if you're going to say that, it's like, are you going to take anything away from like the Hanna-Barbera? And then the, the Masters had so much reuse of animation. It's very charming from my perspective. It's like, oh, hey, this is a great reuse of stuff. And I guess because of the way it's done in the toy world, it just makes a lot of sense,
Yep.
Justin Mohan, this is sort of a 2-part question because he asked them sort of right back to back. What else could you use the elephant buck for? Are there any other species that you have in mind?
I
the
thought
elephant
about
buck?
like right away, I thought about it being kind of repurposed as a whale. It's the whale's obviously bigger, but we could take some artistic license with that. But a whale does come to mind. I'm not really sure what else he would be used for. It's almost kind of like I said, it's kind of like that Galactus.
Yeah.
Right. It's almost kind of, now we do see some kind of weird creatures and stuff in the comic, but they were almost kind of plot devices, to introduce Atreyu in issue 2. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but the whale is something that kind of really immediately kind of jumps out as a possibility.
Justin Mohan followed that up with, could you reuse the bucks or molds for other toy lines?
As long as it doesn't water down either IP, so it would be something that it would have to be like very complimentary and like, oh, this is cool. Like they reuse these parts, but it makes a lot of sense.
Let's see. Endless Fables asks, any of the AI characters be made?
He has definitely read the
exactly. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Man,
knowing the lore.
I can't wait. I can't wait for y'all to read issue 6. We're working on it right now. There's going to be more than just animals as action figures. I'll just say that. How's that?
I was going to say they can't wait to read number 5 either, but yes.
Right. Yeah, that's true. We haven't released number 5 to the general public yet.
Nope.
This is a very good question. How compatible are the various parts across bucks? Will Pale's head fit speedster bodies, etc.?
Huh.
It will fit. It might look out of proportion, but it'll definitely fit.
Okay.
Now, I don't think the Pale head will fit on the Rhino. The size difference is just way
Right.
too big.
Yeah.
Someone put Thane's head on the pale buck, and it looked hilarious. But
Yes,
you know,
Kato.
whenever they get that big, whenever there's that big of a size difference, it just tends not to work. But you know, if you want to put Mala's head on pale or on Kanji's size, it should work. You know, a lot of times we all kind of question, like, why did this Power Ranger head not work for the GI Joe head? They're both Hasbro IPs. Like, it's kind of a weird thing that they didn't have like that in mind. And the best answer I could come up with was that, you know, those are different brands and different creative teams working on it. The advantage that we have is that, you know, we're working on one IP and we have that kind of stuff. We're thinking about it because we're collectors and we enjoy toys and want to make sure that there's, you know, that cross compatibility already just built in. So we've tried to think as much ahead in that kind of manner as possible.
Johnny C. Dagger. Sorry if this question was asked before. I just came in. It was not, so thank you for asking it. Were there any lessons learned from the delivery distribution of the last Kickstarter? Will it be better? Well, to that point, I will say that a big part of sort of what I have been involved in was trying to streamline that and trying to fix that. The Kickstarter and then sort of going forward, distribution will be handled by a third-party fulfillment company. So, you know, it's a full warehouse. You know, the team that we've had so far has been absolutely amazing. Derek and Sequoia sort of spearheading that, and then the various people that have been involved have done a great job. But in all honesty, this has been far more successful than anybody sort of planned for in the first place. And that's been sort of the shortcoming is it's too much for 2 or 3 people to take on. So it will be through a third-party fulfillment company, and they can basically bang out like 1,000 orders in a day. So once these Kickstarter figures arrive at that warehouse, they should be able to get out within 1 or 2 days, and everybody should be happy and you know, out in the yard, out in the backyard, you know, lying on the grass, playing with their new figures as soon as possible. So it has absolutely been addressed and will be better. Jason, do you want to add?
I do want to say that the third party is called Fulfill Right, and one of the things, that they have, you know, really dialed in is the international stuff. Like, a lot of times we'd get stuff returned, would say it was too heavy. We get that, but sometimes we'd get stuff back with just no indication of why it was returned. So then it became this kind of weird guessing game between us and the client or the customer. And they have all that kind of infrastructure already built out. So as far as like the international stuff goes, I think it's going to be like a lot of peace of mind knowing that they have that kind of stuff figured out. We just, like Adam said, we weren't prepared for how successful the first Kickstarter was going to be. I mean, we got their orders in, but then we had like a whole year and a half or 2 years of additional orders on top of that. So, you know, like Adam said, like a lot of times we would get everything packed and ready to go, and then we would have trouble getting the different postal services to actually pick up. So it looked like we were taking a long time in some instances, and to be fair, we were backed up. But then other factors were stuff that was just totally out of our control with, you know, having the services come and pick up and relieve us so that we could have room to pack more orders. So using the third party will allow us to continue to grow at the rate that we are and, you know, kind of bypass all the international issues that we had on the first go round.
Last question, and then we will wrap up. Endless Fables asks, how many inches high did you say the Mamba would be? 10 solid inches of horny
muscle
goodness.
Yeah, leathery, horny goodness.
All right. So there you go. That's it. We're at 1:55, so we're gonna wrap it up
All
because we could talk about this for ages. We might end up doing another one of these if we got more
I
questions.
think we should.
But it's been an absolute blast. Jason, apart from the Kickstarter, where can people kind of keep up with you?
You guys can check us out on our Instagram, which is @Spero Toys. We're also on Facebook. And if you want to order stuff that's in stock, you can go to sperotoys.com and gobble up those goodies while they're still in stock.
Brick, what do you got going on in 26 minutes?
Sure. In 26 minutes, I'll be doing the Brick Something News, which for now goes on at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time, toying with the idea of maybe backing it up a little bit tighter to Adam's show. But hey, today it worked out that way anyway. So look out for that. But more importantly, let's go back real quick to Jason. And if you obviously you were here and you heard all this today, which is awesome. But Jason's going to be going around to different streams, and I'm trying to help out with that. And I just wanted to put on people's radars that well, he'll be actually doing the news with me. What is that? The 31st. Actually, before then, next Wednesday, he will be over with Mega J Retro, and for a special Wednesday night stream. So look out for that. And then Friday, he'll be with Collector Express, doing some work over there, trying to talk to their folks. And then the following Friday on the 5th, we're looking, you will also be, if you didn't remember, with Unparalleled Universe, with talking to Wade, which would be great, kind of talking to two folks making furry.
Yeah, man, his stuff's coming out great. I'm so excited for him.
Yeah, and he's big into comics too, looking to that. So I'm really excited to see you and him kind of get together and talk that stuff. We're still working on a bunch of others, and so just throw that out there. Like, let's let all the different sort of toy tube corners know that this Kickstarter is here.
I think an update showing the schedule will be very helpful, and we'll repost this. We'll repost this as an update as well. So
that'd be great. Yeah, send people back here. This is a really great sort of definitive thing to break down a lot of the FAQ stuff in the Kickstarter. And it's exciting. So that's it for me. How about you, Adam?
I probably not today, but in the next couple of days, we'll be updating the frequently asked questions in the Kickstarter to sort of reflect what we talked about here. We will be doing more updates in the Kickstarter that are sort of relevant to what we talked about, and things of that nature. As Mr. Wonderful said, just go back and all in. Just go back and all in. Yeah, you can thank us later.
You work too hard not to treat yourself, guys. What are we doing? What are we working all this time?
Absolutely.
We're not going to get ourselves a little treat, man. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also let's build a new toy world. Let's build a new, let's build a new toy world. Let's build new franchises. And like, I know we come off like we're shilling, but at the end of the day, the reason we started backing and talking about AWOK was well before we were kind of playing this role of working closely with Spero. It's just because they're damn good toys, great concept,
awesome toys.
You heard today, like there's so much more, like just looking to improve, right? Looking pinless and different scales and trying to like give people things faster. So I think it's a worthy thing to back personally. So otherwise,
absolutely
do it.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Thanks everybody. Thank you guys for watching in the chat. It's been a blast. For anybody that is watching on the replay, we appreciate you as well. If you've got comments, if you've got questions, put them in the chat or in the comments, and we'll try to address them going forward. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blast. Stay tuned to this channel. Stay tuned to Brick Something's channel for more AWOK content. Until next time, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.